What's up, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Hatha Yoga Mama podcast. I am your host, Kelsey, and today we're going to talk about meditation. Just kind of get to the bare bones of it, what it is, how we practice it, why we practice it, and yeah, hopefully you can walk away just knowing a little bit more and maybe diving a little bit further. So, just breaking right on into it, let's talk about what meditation is. So I feel like a lot of people don't actually understand what this is. And so that's why we're doing this episode. I feel like a lot of people think it's just like that person, sitting in like lotus pose and like on a mountain or something and meditating and or just sitting there and thinking about nothingness. um, or like clearing your mind or whatever. Which like it is some of those things sometimes, but it's so much deeper than that. It's like that's not even like a hint or like a gleam of what it actually is. And so what meditation actually is a way that you can connect with your your deepest self or your highest self, your inner oneness, your inner deepest consciousness, your inner universe, I guess, as a way to put it best. Um, so, like, long story short, it's your connection with God, literally. Like, that is through meditation, is like where we get that oneness connection, where we can actually feel it, where we actually become it, and where we actually can walk this life in conscious awareness, in loving awareness, and make really just magic out of our lives and the people that we interact with, and just being a positive force, source. I don't know what you want to call it, but really just getting in touch with that deepest, deepest, deepest self and knowing them, you know, knowing that they are you on the deepest level, and that this you situation that you are in this time space continuums is not really real. I mean, it is real in the fact that like we're here and you're listening to this podcast right now, but not real in the fact that like, we know very, very little about the world and about the history of the world, I guess, in comparison to what we think we know, you know? Um, because if you really coming down to it, what you know is what you have experienced. Um, you can be told something many times, but you don't know. That doesn't mean that you know it. Um, but when you go through, when you experience something, when you do it, there's no debate of knowing because it is. And so, with that understanding, our our knowing is so small in this world, and within 30 some years, and all you know is just kind of what you've woken up out of consciousness and then go back to sleep every night and repeat, repeat, repeat for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, whatever. But that is such a small amount of time in the grand scheme of things. Um, and so I guess coming back to reeling it back in a little bit to meditation, when we meditate, we are really separating the mind, like the object and the seer is like the best way I think to think about it. The object being the mind, and then the seer is beyond the mind. You can observe your mind, therefore you're beyond it. you know? So if you can watch your mind, if you can observe it, that means that you're actually not that. You are zoomed out a little bit more, and you are a much, much, much larger and more powerful situation than what you think, than what your human body thinks that you are. It's fucking crazy. Like, just the amount of conscious power that each human being just innately has in being a human being. And that's the magical gift of life. That is, you can make your own heaven and hell on earth in your own existence. That's what we're doing here, and you've seen it. You've seen people who are literally living their own heaven on earth right now. They love their life, they appreciate it, they enjoy it. Every day they're just, no, it's not all perfect. Like, it's not all sunshine and roses, but when they get hit with stuff, they take it gracefully. They move on. They forgive. They love. They do whatever they need to do. And you've seen these people in your life, or maybe just pop in and out. I hope you have. Um, and then there's others who you may not know. I hope you don't. But I mean, we all know people who kind of create their own internal hell, and it's not even internal, it's external too, just like things seem to just keep happening, and oh well, it serves me right, or oh, that would happen to me, or it just my luck, all of that kind of talk, like, literally is gearing like your consciousness and everything for just more of the bad shit. And so, like, you can literally create it with your words, because I mean, this is kind of bleeding into manifestation, so just bear with here. Um, but that's why we're so powerful. This is why we can manifest. This is why we have the ability to manifest, is because we're each very conscious creators underneath this skin, underneath this meat suit, underneath this body, we are beyond it. And this whole energy field that we exist in, this whole 3D world, I mean, you can go into many other Ds, 5D, 12D, going on and on, because it's just this multi-dimensional, multifaceted being, basically. It's its own thing. It's living, and consciousness is basically just living through itself, playing with matter, and having fun. Like, literally, it's like, that's what evolution is. It's like, how can I create in this way? How can I, like, move in these ways? How can I express myself in this way? How can I really, like, do all of these wild things? And it's crazy what consciousness has came up with in the midst of it. I mean, if you look at all the different animals and insects and little tiny, like, little shit all over the planet, if you looked at the array and the amount, just the sheer number alone of different types of animals, species, whatever, it's fucking mind blowing. Like, if you're not, like, blown away by that, like, just that alone, like, just the earth that we live on and how it's, like, perfect, like, I don't know, you need to start to, like, check yourself and, like, see what you're grateful for, because I think it's pretty fucking amazing that we're here, that we can even say we're conscious and we're, like, witnesses, we're witnessing the beauty before us. And if you can realize that, that's amazing. And your life is going to be beautiful and one big grand adventure. It's going to be so much fun. If you do not realize that, it is probably going to be really fucking painful. It is probably going to rip your fucking heart out and destroy you, and you will be the shell of a human that you should be, or that you could be. I don't like to should on people, not myself or others. So that you could be, though. Um, if you do not realize that we are complete and utter magic and, like, angels on earth, like, I, and I don't even mean to say angels, but just, like, I don't mean it in like the biblical sense, but just the fact that we're these wild creatures that have like no defenses other than our amazing brain. Um, I mean, like, if we were left outside in the cold, naked, like, we would freeze to death. Like, we don't have a fur coat. We're not equipped for that. But we have a brain and we know that when it is cold, we would die. So we need to layer up. How do you get warm? We understand how to get warm. We understand you need layers, especially people in the Midwest understand that layers are fucking key. You need the tank top and the other tank top and the t-shirt and the long sleeve and maybe a button up and then a crew neck and probably a jacket just in case. So sorry. But that's like truly though, humans are fucking wild and it's amazing that we're all here. So pat yourself on the back for that and be grateful for that if nothing else. Um, but meditation allows us to check in with that. Meditation allows us to realize what's the big deal and what's not the big deal. Where are we losing our chi or our zen or our energy? Like where are we throwing it uselessly in negative ways that we don't need to, where we could literally just not and like be like, instead of like throwing energy at something that you dislike, why not let that thing be and literally like turn the other way? You don't have to change, you don't have to go out and change, a person or a specific thing. Um, you can literally just not let it be your fucking reality, you know? Um, you don't like what's on the news? Don't watch the news. Literally. It's that fucking simple. People are like, oh, well, then I won't be informed. It's like, informed about what, though? About some random ass shit that's terrible? Because guess what? There's 1,000 more great things that happened today that they could have reported on that were not that. So, literally, your choice to then turn it on and consume that is you literally giving away your power into negativity that is totally unnecessary. Like, am I saying we need to, like, I don't know, turn away from people suffering? Like, no, obviously, we, things can be done. But at the same time, if every person were to just be and let others be without harm, then there would literally be world peace. Like, that's quick, like, the easiest way it could ever be done. Keep your fucking hands to yourselves. Like, we're going like kindergarten rules here. Hands to yourselves. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. And like, just fucking do your thing and don't hurt anybody else. Everyone can be good. You good? Good. Rock on. So, anyway, meditation is a way for you to basically not be an asshole, not to be a jerk. It's to check in with your deepest self and be like, what is this mind doing? One of my favorite terms in Buddhism and yoga and such is the monkey mind because it's so true, and we all have it. Like, it's not like, oh, some people are like totally blah blah blah, like totally got it together and whatever. No, we all have the monkey mind because that's just the way our brain works. We have all of these different neurons firing, and we actually are only witnessing like a fraction of the thoughts and sensations and things that we could be actually taking in. It's just that we truly we would just explode. Like, we wouldn't mentally be able to take in all of that information at once, or else we would literally just be like having anxiety attacks everywhere. So that's why our brain only gives us what we need. It filters everything out and is like, all right, I'm going to throw this other shit. This all seems important. I'm going to give it to them. And then it is our choice. This is where you need to step away from the mind as being you, and you are the mind is the object, and you are actually the seer of the object, thus not the object. Thus, those thoughts you can kind of, you can weed, you can weed and nurture. Um, and I say weed and nurture instead of like block out or push away or whatever, because anything you resist persists. Anything that you don't want is going to come at you more. So, like, because you're focusing on it still. So, if you're pushing on it, it's not going away because you're pushing on it. Like, of course, you can't go away because you're pushing on it. You're still touching it. Imagine if you had like a door and there was an intruder on the other side of the door, being the bad thought. If that bad thought is pushing against that door and you're pushing on the other side of the door, barricading, trying to keep it back, you're still interacting with the thought. You're still pushing back with the thought. You're still touching it. The only thing that's between you and that intruder is that door, and you're feeling that force of the intruder pushing up the door, and you're pushing back. That is why nothing that we push on leaves us. Nothing that we resist, or everything that we resist, persists. And that's because we're still engaging energetically with that thing. So, if we can understand that and then begin to observe the mind, begin to observe thoughts and maybe thought patterns, emotions, anything, whatever we are observing. One, we are not here to judge. We are not here to judge ourselves or beat ourselves up or do any of that fucking nonsense, because that again creates resistance, is pushing. So that's what we're not going to do. And two, we're going to allow everything. Allow it. And this, if you've never done this practice before, if you've never done this before, could be very, very emotional for you. It could be very jarring for you. If you have never sat with yourself for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes straight and just observed and allowed all the thoughts and emotions to come up, then I don't know that you have fully met yourself yet, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of people, especially in modern day society, just they don't do that. They will not. And people are like, I can't even meditate for 5 minutes. Blah blah blah. I'm too busy. Da 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 da. What are you busy with? You're constantly moving, constantly doing that. It's a distraction of the inside. No matter what. It's like, oh yeah, well I can just be busy. I like to be busy. That's fine, and that's fair. And I think there is a certain level of energy and stuff that people like to be busy, but you also know the people who are so busy that it's avoidance, you know. Um, and it's an avoidance of being and sitting with the self. Um, and a lot of people have trouble with that, and that is something that meditation helps so much with, because once you allow it and you just let everything come and you don't judge it and you don't cling to it and you don't push it away, you literally just let the thoughts come up and they will just kind of fall away as they will. And you can let them fall away. And once you do that, they are gone, and they cannot come back once it's released because there's no more energy there. You've not resisted it. You've completely allowed it, even if it's like the craziest, most intrusive thought or your deepest fear or your deepest, reliving your deepest trauma, just things that you have always pushed away. These are the things that you have to allow to come through, all the way through, so that you can release it for good, for real. That's what I was gonna say. But because we all, we've all been there where we're like, yeah, I know, I'm totally over it. And then something happens and you're like, I'm not fucking, holy shit, I'm not over that. Whoa, I need to sit with this. Like, this is something I need to meditate on because there's resistance here. And it's through this basically lifelong practice of constantly unpacking that allows you to stay at this, I don't want to say balanced totally, because I don't know that anyone in our modern society is totally balanced. Like, people talk about the wheel of life and all the different parts, and it's like there's no way that you can be thriving in all areas. Not like tens everywhere. It's going to be like a 10 and an 8, and maybe this one's another 8 and a 9 and a 7, and maybe that one's a 4. Like, you're not going to be tens everywhere, and anywhere that you would be a 4, like, maybe let's take a peek at that and see how we can maybe up that to a 5 or a 6. But a lot of this stuff is literally all that you need. It is all that you need to know who you really are, which is an amazing piece of consciousness that is connected to every other piece of consciousness in this entire vast ether craziness that we're all engulfed in, 360 degrees, up, down, all around, all over. And we're just a little tiny piece of that. Like Rumi says, like, you are a drop of the ocean, same thing. you know you are one particle of light of a massive shining sunbeam of consciousness. And that's a beautiful thing that needs to be celebrated and appreciated. And that's where self-care comes in. Just appreciating yourself and your journey and what you've had to do and overcome in order to get this far. um like, just give yourself a pat on the back for a minute and let that be an accomplishment in itself you know um I feel like there's many times I looked death in the face and was like, here we go, this is it, this is how this is how I'm dying, all right, fuck. you know and then I didn't, luckily, any of those times, and it's like, holy shit, like, holy fucking shit, the chances that I actually made it through this far are actually pretty fucking slim. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't, because I don't think I could get that lucky again. I don't know that I could run the odds like that again. Um, and I just appreciate, yeah, everything that my mind, body, and soul did to get me to where I am today. And I think if we all, have a little bit of that in us, it makes life just better. It makes things easier. It makes the big picture really beautiful, and it makes you realize the small stuff is literally the small stuff. It is not the end of the world. It is literally just we're consciousness at play. And that's really, really cool. So, I guess, long story short, that's what meditation is getting in touch with that deepest source of the self, and knowing that, and using that to help heal your human body, your physical, gross human body. Um, and all right, so that's what it is. So let's reel it back in. So I really don't have to explain why. I think that was the whole explanation of why we practice as well. Getting that mental check in, releasing any of those pent up emotions or energetics, and allowing ourselves to come to a more harmonious being inside, which is how we end up becoming a harmonious being outside. Um, so let's dive into a few techniques of how to do that. So um, I already kind of told you one, which would basically just to be like find a comfortable seated position, close the eyes, start to take some deep breaths, start to do some long, slow breathing, and then just allow the mind to go. Set a timer for 10 minutes and just for 10 minutes sit and allow the mind to do its thing, to jump around. It's probably, if it's your first time meditating, it's probably going to be wild. It's probably going to be like, da, 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 I don't know, I'm not doing this right. Yeah, well, it's fine. Just breathe, just breathe, just breathe. Okay. Oh, da, 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 oh, did I change the laundry? I don't know. Oh, we're supposed to be meditating. Like, literally, I'm not kidding. Like, this is the monkey mind. This is the mental chatter that sends us here, there, and everywhere. And it's fucking hilarious kind of to watch. But yeah, so just take your practice, like just to start, you know, just watch the mind. And like I said, don't engage with the thought. Don't push a thought away. Don't be like, oh, no, 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 you're not allowed here. No, it is. We're all allowed here. Everything's allowed here. So you gotta let that in. And then also we're not engaging. So it's not like, oh, there's that party on Saturday. Oh yeah, that party on Saturday. That's gonna be so much fun. Oh, I need to plan to remember and grab this, and oh, I need to grab this from the store so I can make that. Da, da, da. No, no, that is engaging in the thought, and that is running with the thought and like forming more thoughts. What you would want to do in the meditation is, oh, okay, there's like a thing coming up Saturday. Oh, I'm excited. Release. Understand that you're starting to have that conversation and run those thoughts further. Release. And like you just gotta like snap it. Like, nope, not engaging, just allowing. So you allowed the thought of, oh, there's a party Saturday, I'm excited and I need to get ready for it. But we're not engaging in it by continuing to think about it and continuing to plan for the next 10 minutes about this one thing, or until we get distracted by another thing, of course. Um, or what we're also not doing here is resisting it. We're not shoving it away saying, oh, nope, I'm not supposed to be thinking about that party because I'm supposed to be meditating. No. Again, that's resisting. So we're not going to do that. We are literally just going to let stuff come up and allow it to be. One of my favorite um, meditations for this is one, um, I call it like the ocean meditation or the beach meditation, um, because I'm a visual person. I love arts and things like that. And so for me, I like there's a lot of visuals going on in my mind, even if I close my eyes. So um, for me, it's easiest and best to um, take that basically that way of meditating that I just was talking about, and imagine that I am sitting on a beach. I am the observer, and then the beach or the water, the ocean, if you will, lake, whatever. But I like ocean, or if you live by the Great Lakes, you can imagine the Great Lakes because to me, it needs to be a body of water that extends to the horizon. Nothing beyond the water. The water is all. So anyway, so you're sitting on the beach, you're looking at the water. Any of these thoughts that come up are like boats out in the water, like big freighter ships, um, to where the thoughts are boats, and then it makes it really easy to not engage. It makes it really easy to allow and release because basically a thought arises and oh, it's a boat in the water. That's it. I'm not going to engage in the boat. It's not a pretty boat. It's not a bad boat. It's not a good boat. I don't fuck, it's just a fucking boat, you know? um, and I'm sitting on the beach and I am not going to swim out to that boat because that would take a lot of energy and that's efforting. And we're not going to do that today. We're just allowing and letting shit go. And so you're just going to let that thought, that boat, that freighter pass. um, sorry, I need to clear my throat and drink some water. Um, so anyway, so yeah, you just need to let that boat pass and let that thought pass. We're not engaging in it. We're not throwing more energy at it. We're not shooing it away. We're just letting it be a boat floating along. And then guess what? You're going to forget about that boat in like 2 seconds because there's going to be another boat and another boat and another boat. But it really helps kind of having this visual, if you're, especially if you're a visual person, um, because it really helps you stay in that observing mind. You know, it helps you not engage. It really puts space between you and your mind instead of feeling so close to it that you can hardly observe it and you just really want to jump in and engage with it, because that's what a lot of people do. Um, this visual kind of allows you to like zoom out a little bit more so that you can really see yourself as that ultimate consciousness that is observing this human being a human being, which is fucking trippy as fuck, you know? Um, and so, yeah, I highly recommend that visualization as a meditation. And I do have that. I did record the boat or like the beach meditation, and it is listed as one of these podcasts. So if you haven't listened to it yet, you can go back to it. I think it's pretty short. It's only like 10 minutes, 11 minutes. 11:11 is what I did. Fun. Why not? Um, and so, and that like just, it does the visuals and the breathing and all that stuff and kind of guides you through that. So if you want to check that out, and like I said, it's like 11 minutes. So it's a perfect kind of starter time for, and then I highly recommend, as you get more comfortable with that practice, to bump it, to 15 minutes, 20 minutes. See if you can get up to that 30-minute mark. I feel like that's really an amazing place. I feel like I felt my best and my most connected when I had those long, long times. I don't know if that's totally true, but I guess what is true is that doing those longer meditations for those longer periods of time for a long time, like for, months or whatever, um, it makes it so that when you do come to your meditation, you kind of can like drop in a bit faster. You're not Because you're not like going through all these cobwebs of bullshit of like, I'm a human, I don't know what I am, blah, blah, blah. Like, trauma, trauma, trauma. Like, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make light of people. Like, trust me, I've had my fucking fair share of traumatic incidences, and it's nothing to laugh about, but I think we can joke. We can joke because we've all been there. We've been through it. And if we can't, have a little bit of humor, then I guess what the fuck are we doing here too? But either way, sorry. Yeah, like so I guess with those longer meditations, it then allows you to do shorter meditations later because you can drop in faster. There's not as much bullshit to ride through and get rid of first because you already did that. So now you're just like, and it's not like, oh, now I'm healed and now I've like released all my trauma. Like, no, life will continue to traumatize you, my friend. There will be instances, I'm sure, and I'm sorry about that. However, um, that's why we have our meditation practice, so that we can like drop that in to our truth, to our natural knowing, to our inner path, to, and when we can do that, even in the hard times, it makes the hard times less hard. It doesn't make the hard times not exist. It makes them less hard. When you can just love and appreciate everything and everyone as they are, who they are, when they are, it makes things a lot more enjoyable. A lot more enjoyable. Um, so basically, Um, thought observation, we've gone over visualization. Sorry, I couldn't say that word. Um, and then I guess the last one that we can talk about is sense withdrawal. And this one is a little bit easier if you don't like to close your eyes in meditation or you don't want to, if you're adverse to it for some reason in the beginning. Eventually, you'll have to get over that shit. But um, this is where we just take a candle and light the flame. And I do recommend having it in something, maybe like a shade or something over it so you're not staring directly at the light. Or if like the glass is that is if it's like in a glass jar, if it's like darker colored, that is really great. I actually make candles and make my own, and I use amber colored like glass jars for this specific reason. But when it burns down a little bit, you can allow, like, basically you can still see the flame, but the amber jar kind of helps not make it quite so bright on your eye. So it makes it a little bit easier. Anyway, you're probably like, okay, lady, why the fuck are we staring at this flame? Um, Let me tell you. So basically, just sit down, light your candle, and bring your gaze to it. And then this is kind of similar in the boat meditation, as basically any thoughts that arise get thrown to the flame, you know, just dissipate, like just kind of gone. Nope. Like, oh, thought, nope, we are the flame. We're the flame. I'm not the thoughts, I am the flame, you know. And you just kind of repeat that for your 10 minutes, 15, however long you're sitting. And that is a very, very amazing and cleansing practice as well. Like after one of those sessions, I always feel amazing, like just clear. And I'm just like, whew, wow, there was a lot of smudge on this glass. And now it's clean. Like, when like your kids like fuck up your windows so bad that like you don't even really notice that they're so grubby. And then you're like, oh my God, I should clean my windows. It's been a little while. And then you do, and you're like, oh my God, like gross, gross, friends. We've all been there, I feel. If you have children at all, you've definitely fucking been there, so don't lie to me. And if you haven't, then you must have a cleaner, because like, who the fuck are you to have all that time? Anyway, um, so long story short, my friends, um, yeah, that is what meditation is. That is why we do it, to connect to that deepest consciousness that we're all part of, um, and live our best life, you know, literally. That's what we're doing here. That's all we're trying to do here. So, one love, my friends. I hope you have a great evening and or day or whatever time it is where you are. And yeah, namaste, one love. We are all one and we are all part of the same light. So rock on. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.